if Hassan is right, if he is right, then he should stay. I just don't think he is from everything that I've read and I've seen about it.
I don't think you've read anything. No, what have you read? What have you seen about this? What have you read about this? I don't think you've read anything. Here, let's take a look at what he had to say. I want to hear what he had to say. This is the largest political commentator on this platform. Let's see what his opinion is on this issue. He titled it, "Terrorist Simps Are Out of Control."
Any reasonable ground to believe he would have a potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequence. And you mentioned he's a resident alien. He can be deported under U.S. law for if the Secretary of State has any reasonable ground to believe he would have a potentially serious adverse foreign policy consequence. And you mentioned the student organization. Yeah.
Have you seen any evidence to suggest that there is actually a serious reason to believe that this student is going to be a threat to to national security?
I mean, I've certainly watched the abomination that's gone on at Columbia and Barnard and other places, and I will just tell you,
threat to national security?
And I'll just tell you that his
absolutely. And also, being a threat to national security is not the only expectation. A person could be dangerous. Like, I think that, like, saying a threat to national security is an attempt to minimize his behavior in order to justify defending him. The fact is, this person paid lip service and was part of an organization that promoted a terrorist organization. He was a leader of the organization. Playing it down, yeah, this is, again, is it? Do you guys see this? This happens constantly. The exploitation and the intentional manipulation of language is one of the most pervasive and...
Bro, you're doing that right now by saying this person, making this person out to be a terrorist ringleader is quite literally what you claim Scott Jennings is doing here, which is ironic because you agree with him. You just said this dude, without any evidence whatsoever, you're like, this dude is a ringleader of a terrorist group. He's offering support to a terrorist group. What even is a terrorist group? Like, what do you mean by that? What has this group done, for example? Do you have any evidence to back up this claim whatsoever? Do you have any evidence that Mahmoud Khalil has offered material support to a terrorist group? No, of course not. Can an American legal permanent resident even offer material support to a terrorist group? Yeah, they have in the past, like the IRA. Plenty of Irish Americans have offered material support and even trafficked weapons into Ireland. The idea of just like simply saying, well, this is a terrorist group. This guy likes terrorism. This guy likes bad guys is ridiculous. You're not making an argument at all. You're just simply repeating what the State Department is saying.
I would say subversive tools that a lot of people use that is extremely persuasive to people that don't have a lot of like, I would say like verbal intelligence. And you see this happen and it doesn't get explained very often because most people honestly straight up don't understand it.
I'm not going to let you move on because this is...
I'll tell you why it's a threat to national security if you let me answer you.
Well, Scott.
You want me to answer you or not?
Okay.
His organization says we are dedicated fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization. Okay. He's not a citizen.
Okay.
What are you talking about? What is this statement? That's not even, the total eradication of Western civilization. Number one, there is no evidence whatsoever that this person has ever said that, or even if it was real or not. There are people that actively champion neo-Nazi causes. You still can't deport them unless they have actually agitated or moved in the direction of doing a heinous crime. This right here is not even like historic fascist apologia. This is active current day fascism that's taking place, and he is championing it. It is completely unacceptable. The only reason why he can get away with saying this is because the government is doing it. So when the government is doing it, you can get away with saying whatever the you want.
Case closed. Get out. Easy enough. Yeah. How could you possibly debate this? And
what do you mean, how could you possibly debate this? It is directly at odds with the First Amendment. The standards for every person on U.S. soil for deportation, which is a violent process. Deportation is a violent process. No ands, ifs, or buts. You're removing someone from their life, their livelihood, their family members, their culture, the life that they grew up in. It is an inherently violent act. It's a very violent act. And if the state has the capacity to engage in an inherently violent act such as deportation, they have to have an incredibly high far too clear. I'm not going to sit here and say there is no justification for deportations or any sort of legal enforcement. Okay, of course there are. That's the whole basis behind having rules and laws and standards and regulations. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and act like there's no rhyme or reason for deportations ever. Having said that, this instance is completely unacceptable. But the irony there is that what Scott Jennings lied about is still not acceptable for deportation. You cannot deport someone or revoke their green card because they were distributing a pro-Hamas flyer. That's insane. What are we talking about? It is a direct violation of the First Amendment. A direct violation. Glenn Greenwald is correct on this. He says, also, quick First Amendment review. People are allowed to praise whomever they want. I can stand up every day and say, I love Al-Qaeda. I can argue Hamas has the right to use violence to resist Israel. I can urge the U.S. to nuke Iran or Peru. That is called free speech. And yes, non-citizens do get the benefits of the Bill of Rights. Okay? The idea that the Constitution is for U.S. citizens only is wrong. You're just wrong. Remove your own personal perspective about Israel from the matter for one moment, if you are even in here and found yourself watching me, even though you're pro-Israel, okay, accidentally. Remove that part of the equation for a second. What happened here is the government said, I don't like what you said. I am going to take away your green card. Initially, they thought he was on a student visa. So they were going to revoke his student visa, which, again, unacceptable. Then they found out that he had a green card. Then they were like, we're going to revoke your green card. And then they actively said, this is the reason why we're revoking your green card, because we don't like what you have to say. That is insane. How can you defend that? This is a landmark legal case, and this legal battle will determine the future of American fascism.
This is the issue, is that these people are nailing themselves up to a cross of a person who is supporting a terrorist organization and is part of an organization that wants to eradicate Western civilization.
I will tell you once again, even if it was, that's still not a bar that you can clear for deportation or the revocation of a green card. It's not. Tal Huggins says it is highly likely to have been real. The conclusion that it is real based on one important piece of evidence, the link address. He says that it's real. The first mention of the code is mentioned by the OP Mondoweiss article, now deleted, written by Hind Hall 46. Hind Hall refers to a hall in Columbia University, renamed by Palestinian protesters. No details are given to the identity of authors themselves. Right deleted post, left of what appears now. The post in and of itself reads as follows. We are Westerners fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization. We stand in full solidarity with every movement for liberation in the global South. Our intifada is an internationalist one. We are fighting for nothing less than the liberation of all people. We reject every genocidal eugenicist regime that seeks to undermine the personhood of the colonized. As the fascism ingrained in American consciousness becomes ever more explicit and irrefutable, we seek community and instructions from militants of the global South who have been on the front lines in the fight against tyranny and domination, which undergird the imperialist world order. Biplop Chobe, revolution must continue. This statement saying we are fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization comes across as a scary one to people living in Western civilization. They're like, ooh, it's scary. Scary posts are not enough to deport a student activist leading the Columbia University Apartheid Divestment Group. This statement also is one that is not as scary as you think it is. These are people who are talking about people that are being destroyed by American imperialism, by Western imperialism. A student activist who didn't even post this, even if he literally distributed this flyer to every single person and said, we want to destroy Western civilization. It's completely unacceptable that Western civilization is destroying our lives. We live here. We want to do everything we can to basically stop American empire from destroying the global South. Even if they said that every day of the week, you cannot deport the person for saying that. That is insane. I don't care if this offends the sensibilities of liberals. If you are a liberal and you care about the First Amendment, this is a direct violation of the First Amendment. Even if he was running around posting this thing every day, putting it up like Martin Luther on every door you could find, you cannot deport this person for that. The fact that a post that they claim was reposted by the Columbia University Apartheid Divest Instagram account is enough for one of the lead negotiators in the CUAD Okay, the fact that that is the smoking gun evidence that they have is insane, because the smoking gun evidence they have is also not enough.
How do you, like, this should be the easiest W of your life. How does anybody argue against this?
First Amendment, sucks to suck. Get wrecked, libtard.
What crimes did he commit personally to deserve deportation? It's hard to say whether he committed a
Yeah, even members in his community are like, what are you talking about? What crime has he done?
crime, but there's a higher standard of conduct for people that are green card holders than people who are naturalized citizens. Yeah, there's a higher standard of conduct.
No, there isn't. No, there isn't. No, there isn't. They still get First Amendment protections. If they didn't, green card holders are one step removed from the naturalization process. Full-blown naturalization implies that you can vote. That's like the major distinction. As a green card holder, you can't vote. But and also you, I think, have to tell the government if you're like out of the country for extended periods of time. But beyond that, green card is basically a placeholder until you get your full-blown naturalization. This argument is wrong regardless. There is no higher standard, as in you can't do certain things beyond what I just described, especially as it pertains to free speech. So much of conservative commentary, and not just from Asmongold, but just in general, so much of conservative commentary unironically just comes from someone not knowing basic facts about a situation and just going off on the incorrect assumptions that they've made thus far. And this protection does not just extend to green card holders. It extends to everyone on U.S. soil. It's supposed to extend to everyone on U.S. soil. If it did not, then the American government could unconditionally and unironically go up to a area where there's a lot of tourists and round them up. No due process. Just, you're a tourist. You have no rights. Can you, like, think about that? We can kill you and torture you now because guess what? We've decided you have no rights.
And he wasn't meeting that conduct, so he's getting deported, hopefully. I heard that it got blocked.
It did get blocked, or it is
and there
in the
should
process
be.
of being
Yeah,
blocked.
they should be. And I support this completely. I hope they do this to more of them. We have enough troublemakers in the country already without importing new ones on green cards to start even more trouble. Who needs this?
What do you mean trouble? Like you're literally Asmongold's position on this is just, I also don't agree with what this person was saying, or at least what I'm suspecting this person was saying. So it's okay if he gets deported. What a crock of shit. What happened to the I defend people I disagree with on the basis of free speech? What happened to the Trump is based for ending the war against free speech?
Is that enough to have someone lose their rights in this country?
He has viewpoints that, in my opinion, jeopardize
Yes, he doesn't have a right to be here. No non-citizen has a right to be here.
the security of the United
How?
States.
But how?
He is obviously a radical who is here to foment.
No, he's not a radical at all.
Violence against the United
So
States
has he
government.
He's not a radical at all.
He's not. He's not. He's just not. He's not. He's not a radical at all. Taking a moral position against a genocide and an apartheid is not a radical position. Claiming something is radical, claiming something is a radical statement is not enough to justify deportation. Oh my God.
He wants to
Has he
destroy
committed
Western
violence
civilization.
against the United States government?
You're saying
Scott?
eradicate
Has he
Western
committed-
civilization doesn't make you a radical?
Has he acted in any way that is
I think he
violence
has.
against the United States government, as you just said?
I think these protests.
What a great argument.
That is a great argument. Yes. That is actually the bare minimum argument here. Yes, the standard for deportation has to be insanely high. What are we talking about? Yes, you have to literally do violent acts at the behest. You have to do like literally an act of terrorism. Not just like what the American government considers terrorism, like what most people would understand as like violent, like a violent act. If you put a pipe bomb in someone's, someone's backyard or some shit. Like, yeah, that is how high the standard for deportation is. Saying words that I disagree with is not a standard for deportation. The entire conversation that we're having right now is that the Trump administration wants to make that a bar for deportation and revoking someone's green card. That is insane. We didn't even revoke the citizenship and deport the Boston Marathon bombers. What are we talking about? The Boston Marathon bomber became a naturalized U.S. citizen on September 11, 2012. Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. They could have denaturalized him then. You know why they didn't? Because you don't do that. That's a crazy thing to do. That's a crazy thing to advocate for.
Free American speech, Scott. That's enough.
Look,
Yes.
look, what they have.
Yeah, it is. Categorically, it's enough. And I think that every normal person in America would say that they want somebody deported who is actively a supporter of a terrorist organization and wants the eradication of Western civilization. Any normal person who's not been radicalized by the internet, if this person is not a citizen, get them the f*** out. And also, let's apply a little bit of logic to this too. This is what I said.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for the logic, dude. Let's apply some logic.
Johnny Somali goes to Korea and he acts a fool. Korea puts him in jail for 10 years. Everybody's happy.
Johnny Somali went through the legal process because he was in violation of numerous laws. He did crimes. This person didn't. That is the point. You can't just say something is a crime because I don't like what he's saying. That's the whole point. The entire reason why this is a extension and a violation of precedents is because he didn't do a crime, let alone one that justifies the revocation of his green card. Johnny Somali didn't go to Korea and was like, I don't know, I love the DPRK or something. And I don't even know if like there are actual free speech protections in Korea against that sort of thing. He went and he harassed people routinely, and they still haven't deported him. That's the other thing. Like,
you are a visitor to this country. You are not a citizen in this country. You are a guest.
Why is there a distinction between legal permanent residents and green cards if they're all, in Asmongold's world, non-citizens? This is deliberate. Maybe he doesn't realize what he's doing, but he straight up is saying, even if you have a green card, you're not a full-blown American. He's not a visitor, dog. He has a green card. He has an American wife who is 8 months pregnant with their child. What the are you saying?
If you go to Russia and you start talking about how bad Russia...
I hate this argument. Do you want America to be like Russia? Is that what you want? Because you're advocating for America to be like Russia. This is so stupid. God damn, I hate this fucking argument. I hear it all the goddamn time. They always... Dumbass right-wingers always come into my chat and say, Hassan, if you don't like it, leave, dumbass. Oh, we got free speech here, you idiot. Also, I hate you for using that free speech. If you don't like it, go to Russia. I'll exile you to Russia or Turkey, Turkestan, wherever you're from. It's like, oh, so you want there to be restrictions on free speech. Got it. Okay, nice.
If you do this anywhere else in the world, you would immediately get removed.
Do you like that? Is that a thing that you're advocating for in America? Because that's what you're advocating for in America. Oh, my God.
Because it's common sense. If someone comes into your house and they start complaining about it constantly and, supporting somebody burning down your house, I would tell them, please leave my house. In any other abstraction of this logic, it becomes outrageously retarded.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. The house analog is so funny when you're talking about the whole ass nation. I love when conservative morons constantly be like, well, we need some fiscal belt tightening because if your family is spending more than they make, then you're in debt. It's like, dude, that is the government. Do you agree with every single person? Are you advocating to basically make the country into your house? As in everyone has to agree with you? First of all, your house specifically. Holy
There's a roach flying at me. Give me a minute.
Where'd he go?
Oh, shit.
He's on my belly. Look at him. He's right there. Oh, God.
America is turning into Asmongold's house. Jesus Christ. That is kind of the problem here, okay? Big problem. But having said that, of course, the entire American country is not the same. It's not an analog. You can't make an argument like that. You don't agree with every single person in this country. It's normal. It's understandable.
But inside of this contrived and ridiculous line of reasoning, we are defending a person who wants to eradicate all of Western civilization and supports a terrorist organization. And this is the person who is...
No, He did not advocate for that. That's number one. And even if he did, it is still not a justification to revoke someone's green card. This is a very personal issue for me, not because, I'm branded as a radical, pro-terrorist, pro-Hamas guy or whatever the fuck, right? I don't give a shit about that. That's not the reason. The reason why this is personal to me is because I come from Turkey, where there are no free speech protections. This is an issue that I have advocated for fairly consistently. The reason why I've advocated for this fairly consistently is because I know what it looks like when you don't have free speech protections, okay? You go to jail for hurting the feelings of the government. That is not something that I think is good for America. And that's where we're at now. Here, I'll let my brilliant conservative friend make this argument for me instead. Perhaps that will drive home the point a little bit better.
So let me suggest that as a legislature, your chief job is to ensure that my taxpayer dollars in this state go toward making sure that people like me and people with whom I disagree get to speak in places like college campuses, and not toward regulating what speech you find good and what speech you find bad, because it's a really dangerous business, and there's speech I don't like, there's speech you don't like. But if we can't agree that there is a difference between speech and violence, we're not going to be able to have a free state, let alone a free country.
Wow. Now he loves it that the Trump administration is basically revoking grants from college campuses because they haven't been aggressive enough. Yeah, leftist commentator Ben Shapiro. Yeah, radical liberal Ben Shapiro.
I actually think the guy we depart from Colombia should be put in Gitmo. Well, I don't know about that. Just send him back to his country. That I don't want to spend money keeping this guy in jail. I don't want to deal with that.
Engaged in is a...
You seem angry? Yeah, of course. The question is, why aren't you? Why are you not angry? How are you not angry? We're watching a fascist administrative apparatus basically decide on who gets deported, who gets criminally prosecuted for speech it doesn't like, and you don't even recognize how dangerous this is. This is a real violation of the First Amendment. Arresting people for political protest is done by the state specifically so that there's a chilling effect on speech, so you know not to do it again. This is precisely what the American government is doing right now.
Clear threat to the United States. And if you want the United States to be overrun by radicals the way Europe has, be my guest. But I think the president needs to stand up for the integrity of the United States.
What is the threat?
The threat of our country being, and our college campuses being overrun by radicals who are trying to run Jewish kids off of campuses and anybody else who disagrees. Yes, they are.
They're not.
In UCLA.
They're not. They never. I was there at UCLA. They were not trying to do that. You're a liar. You're lying again and again and again. As a matter of fact, the protests are led by Jewish students. Shut the up. Oh my God. But hey, guess what, dude? You know the thing that Asmongold hates? The narrative massaging and the manipulation and lies and the exploitation of language. That's what's happening here, but I'm sure he won't call it out. Or maybe he will. Let's hear him out.
It's not about whether they're Jewish or not. It's got nothing to do with it. Like if he was doing it towards like white people, black people, anybody like that. And also like this is another really good component to it is that if this was a person who was a white person who's come here from another white country and they were joining the KKK, everybody in this panel here would be saying to deport them.
No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. You don't know that. I wouldn't. I think it's ridiculous. Unless they have actually committed a violent act, I don't think that people should be deported. People do care about this. I hope people understand. People do care about this. Look at Elon. I jokingly say Elon should be deported because I know it'll never happen. But like that's the case. Elon Musk himself is a perfect example of this. Elon Musk literally lied on his visa. The government legally could deport him. The government legally could say, hey, you lied on your student visa. Hey, guess what? You actually dropped out of school. You were not supposed to do that, and you are not legally here. That is a direct violation. You can actually deport someone for that. This wouldn't even be someone joining the KKK, by the way. This would be someone like Asmongold. Asmongold doesn't realize that by defending a right-wing position, he actually, under a Brandon administration, let's say, he would be advocating for his own deportation or his own denaturalization. That's the point that he doesn't understand. It's not, he didn't join Hamas, dumbass. You can't make this comparison. It's just someone who says, I don't like genocide. I'm making demands alongside the rest of the student body as a green card holder. It's as though you decided under this woke Kamala Harris hypothetical scenario where we're doing DEI only, okay, nothing else. We decided that everyone and anyone that has any conservative opinions that the Democratic Stasi-backed state has decided is wrong and inappropriate, they will now be able to unjustifiably deport all white people or all people that are saying, I'm a conservative. That's what it's like. That's the actual comparison here. Not that like someone joined KKK or whatever. And even then it's not appropriate. Don't ask me, ask him why he won't talk to me about this stuff. Especially because like it makes the situation harder because he has to come across as reasonable if we have a conversation. And then it's going to make it way harder for him to assume these positions later on. His entire content hinges on him not knowing everything.
There are some people who have immigrated legally. There are some people who have diplomatic immunity because they're diplomats from other countries. And there are some people who are on green cards, other ones that are on work visas, etc. So for you to just say immigrant and using this broad term, this is another, again, intentionally dishonest use of language. Again, asylum seekers, yes, another intentionally dishonest use of language in order to push an agenda that is...
No, dude, it's the current government that's using intentionally dishonest language. This is ridiculous. I can't understand why people listen to this guy as a question that you guys are asking. There are a lot of dummies out there, man. That's it. Asmongold's popularity is a placeholder for the popularity of this kind of idea. People obviously want this kind of commentary, okay? That's it.
In my opinion, massively regressive. He said legal immigrant. Yeah, but there are multiple types of legal immigrants, and each one has a different classification and expectation. And also, like, some legal immigrants are citizens, some are not. The bar for behavior for them is different. Here's the truth. If this guy was an American citizen, I would completely support his right to do this. But he's not.
Hamas is internationally labeled terrorist org, therefore any propaganda for it on American soil kind of violates free speech. No, it doesn't. You don't know anything. No, it does not. What are you talking about? No, it does not. That's the point. You can, in the United States of America, you can literally say you love Al-Qaeda, you love the KKK, you love Nazis. The government can't deport you over it. What are you talking about? It is also constitutionally protected. Asman says he doesn't want to engage with you right now. He says he thinks you're making a mistake for being extreme about this. I don't think I'm making a mistake. I think what's extreme is the federal government deciding speech that I don't like means you can get deported. That's extreme. It is an extremely un-American thing to advocate for. I think that that is the real extremism here, not me defending that. The best possible way to deal with this would be in person. And I will always be charitable and I will always treat anyone with respect as long as they also do the same to me. And as long as they don't, say some unhinged like Nazi shit. I think the reason why he doesn't want to talk about it is because this way he can isolate his community from hearing a alternative perspective because he's not very open-minded. I am not afraid of hearing different perspectives. I do it every day, and I'm willing to entertain Asmongold's perspective that is different than mine. Is it a shock that he's getting pushback?
We have enough terrorists here that we have to support their First Amendment right to be terrorists. We have enough of them. We don't need to import new ones. No, you would not. Why do you think I wouldn't? Insane agenda? No, we're not. No, why do you think I wouldn't? This has got people fired up. A lot of people got a lot of opinions about that. Yeah, people are really upset about this. And also, what's the logic? If somebody is a citizen, then how could we deport them? Where would we deport them to? Really? Like, where would they go? Like, are we going to have, like, I don't know, we can send them to, like, El Salvador's prison or something like that? It doesn't even make any logical sense. Usually agree with you, but I don't today. No. What I'm saying, I'm at work. I can't type it all out. So protesting is cause for deportation. Protesting, that's fucking retarded? Yes. If you are protesting in support of a terrorist organization and you're not a citizen, absolutely.
Yeah, we should have deported every Irish American that offered literal material support to the IRA. We should have deported every single student protester that was a green card holder for protesting against the Vietnam War. We should have deported every single protester that protested during the civil rights movement. We should have deported every single protester that protested against apartheid South Africa. You're confident in this position because you think it'll never happen to you. That's it. The underlying basis for like conservative advocacy always revolves around it'll never happen to me.
Yes, 100%. Like I would absolutely support that. Get the out. You are a non-citizen.
It is not even a violation for non-citizens. Like, he's a legal permanent resident. He has basically the same, on principle, he has the same protections afforded to every other person. Non-citizens are protected by the First Amendment.
That's not the same as saying that you would fully support them when you said it was terrorism. Well, okay, so whenever I say I would fully support them, is that a person's First Amendment rights are very important. And a person does have a right to hate Western civilization and want to eradicate it in a certain extent, right, as a citizen. And my point is that because we have to deal with those people, and that's already really annoying. Now we have more of this to add in. Trump's in 5 minutes? Yeah. Let's just wrap this up. I'm going to time you out. You've been very annoying, but I don't think it's a ban. But, you know, it's almost a ban. The problem isn't the actual protest.
I'm going to treat you like a non-citizen.
That's this performative type of propaganda.
I DM'd Asmongold. I said, I could talk to you about why this Adams move is unprecedented and incredibly dangerous. A ball's in his court.
Yeah. Legal immigrants also have First Amendment rights. No, actually, they don't. Green card holders do not.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They do. He's just objectively incorrect. What? Is he going to give some evidence that I'm unfamiliar with? Maybe he has something that I don't know.
That's the whole conversation point for this. No, they don't.
No, that's not a conversation point. No, you can't just say they don't. What? Who decided? What?
Yeah, it's just this simple.
They wouldn't even let them go to class.
First of all, they were...
Says who? The people that wrote the laws.
What? No, they did. What?
First of all, there were violent counter-protests at UCLA that were done by Jewish organizations.
No, both sides.
No, that's true. He's right.
Mahmoud Khalil case goes to court, spotlighting green card holders' rights. Let's look up First Amendment. Okay. Green card holders also have the right to free speech, according to David Cole, a Georgetown law professor. The First Amendment does not distinguish between citizens and non-citizens, says Cole, who successfully represented Palestinian clients in a lengthy First Amendment case. Therefore, since you couldn't punish a citizen for their speech, you couldn't deport a foreign national for their speech. Green card status can be revoked, as in cases where someone has obtained that status by fraud, or they commit serious crimes. The government also has broad powers under anti-terrorism laws, including the ability to block entry or remove a non-citizen. I do think for people who are non-citizens, there's some risk in protesting, depending on how the protest is interpreted, says Jason Zabov, a partner at Mare Osorio, an immigrant law firm in Washington, D.C. And the reason for that is because of the anti-terrorism provisions are just so broad. These are some of the most insane provisions that we've been using since post 9/11. Having said that, this person has not violated even those provisions. That's why there is already a legal battle. There is a legal back and forth. Asmongold is entirely incorrect on this. Please read, there's a precedent for it. Aliens in the United States. Brother, I don't think you understand the statute that you are posting about. This is a very serious issue. The statute that you are posting does not mean what you think it means. Classes of aliens ineligible for visas or admissions means an undocumented documented non-citizen trying to come into the United States of America. If this provision extended to people who have already gotten their actual authorized waiver as a legal permanent resident, revoking the green card status of a person for this reason is the same as advocating to denaturalize a person. Do you understand? Like denaturalizing a naturalized citizen, or even a U.S.-born naturalized, U.S.-born citizen, a native-born American citizen. Revocation is different than denying a waiver. Here he starts reading here, timestamp.
For admission. So here we go, and this is again B. Terrorist activities. So an alien who has engaged in a terrorist activity has reasonable ground to believe is engaged in or likely to engage after entry with terrorist activity intention to cause death, is a representative of a terrorist organization.
I'm literally DMing him, telling him he's wrong. Like
a political group that endorses or espouses terrorist activity. So based off of this, if he is part of a group that endorses a terrorist organization,
Crash Out
then
Piker this is not a crash out at all. I'm trying to correct a colleague of mine from making a major mistake in front of 52,000 people who don't know the truth, who don't understand it.
To this, he can be deported. So this is what the rules are. This is what the rules say. Now, Hasan might have a good point. Is this going to stand up against the First Amendment? And if he wants to sue the government and decide that, I think that's fine. Now, my personal opinion is
this is not applicable to the current situation. Is different. This is a legal permanent resident. You're reading a denial of waiver into the country. Yes, the American government can also... Here, I'll give you a great example. Something as stupid as accidentally keeping a banana in your backpack. Customs and Border Patrol has dogs. Why do they have dogs out there? There are dogs that specifically sniff out agriculture. If you come into the United States from an area where you have a banana in your backpack as a tourist, and they find this fresh vegetable or fruit in your backpack, you can be denied entry into the country. Now, in most circumstances, they won't do that, but they have that right. If you have a banana in your backpack, once you've passed that boundary, you can't be removed from U.S. soil. The reason why is because when you're coming into the country, you have a different set of standards than past the point of entry into the country. It's that simple. And by the way, I'm not discounting why there is global biosafety standards. Obviously, it's understandable that the Customs and Border Patrol has this rule. It just comes across as silly, but there is a good reason for it. But that's besides the point. He read my DM and said if that's the case, he agrees with me. That undermines his entire point that he's conducting for the past 2 days. So all he needed to do was figure out that like non-citizens and citizens alike have the same constitutional protections, especially legal permanent residents. That's it. Maybe the point is that he shouldn't have been given a green card because of that clause. So now they're revoking it and deporting him. No, you can't do that. Like you can't apply a post hoc justification for revoking someone's green card like that. That would mean that you can also denaturalize citizens. Do you understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you can't do that. That would mean that if tomorrow he had his citizenship test and he became a naturalized U.S. citizen, that would mean that the government could denaturalize him on the basis of the fact that he was a non-citizen at a certain point. That's not how it works. You can't do a post hoc application. That is also unconstitutional. Now, the problem is the Trump administration does not give a about the Constitution, clearly, and they're trying to erode the Constitution, which is unironically the argument that we're making right now. What law did he violate? That's the whole point. The entire debate or the back and forth happening here is that the American government is literally trying to manipulate pre-existing law with very little evidence, with no evidence whatsoever. How the do people not understand that my anger here, my resentment here, my frustration here, and my fears here are the fact that we are now deciding unilaterally, one guy goes, you're a terrorist. Why are you a terrorist? I don't really need to tell you why you're a terrorist. You're just a terrorist. Now you can get deported. It's also wild considering that the current administration is now actively talking about vandalizing Teslas being an act of terrorism. When faced with evidence to the contrary, Asmongold immediately said, if it's true, then I guess he's right and I'm wrong. That's what he said.
Legal cause, reading that's about denying a waiver. When someone's legal permanent resident on soil, it's not as constitutional protections everybody else has. Well, if that's true, then he should stay. Yeah. And
it is true. It is true.
And that's really it. I mean, like, I think that they need to decide that in the court, right? And if that's the way that the law works, I mean, I don't really know exactly how the law works. This is what I've heard.
Then why did you spend 48 hours worth of content saying, oh my God.
That's if. Yeah, exactly. Now, in my opinion, by the way, this is still my opinion, I don't want to have anybody in the country that's not a naturalized citizen that's supporting a terrorist organization. And I don't think that we need to afford the full rights of freedom of speech to people that are not even citizens to advocate for terror.
Okay, you don't like the First Amendment. That's it. You don't like the First Amendment then. You are anti-free speech. That's it. You are anti-free speech. I can't believe this is even a point of contention when Khalil was protesting on behalf of all these people. Yeah, I haven't even been able to talk about the ridiculousness of the claim that he's a terrorist. Like, it's so stupid. Yeah, it's crazy, man.
If Hasan is right, if he is right, then he should stay. I just don't think he is from everything that I've read and I've seen about it.
I don't think you've read anything. No, what have you read? What have you seen about this? What have you read about this? I don't think you've read anything. The thing that you read, you misinterpreted. What?
So we're going to find out. And, bro, how do you argue against that? I don't know. I have no idea how people argue against that.
Wait, what?
But, yeah. And let's see here. No, Patriot Act won't allow him to stay. Oh, that's true. Yeah, it's a good point. I forgot all about the Patriot Act. Okay, anyway, let's go ahead and look at this.
Oh, my God. Dude, the thing that he read, he misunderstood. I corrected him, and he just turned around and went, okay, I don't agree with him. I don't believe him. Or if he's right, then yeah, he should stay. And then followed up by celebrating the Patriot Act. Now, the reason why we can't have a conversation, even though I added him directly, is because he doesn't want to have the conversation. It's not me. I have not only a genuine, firmly held ideological conviction here, but I also understand the pre-existing rules set in place better than Asmongold does. It's okay. It's all right to not know everything. And I certainly don't know all of the confines of like, I don't know everything about the immigration law either. Having said that, it seems like I know a little bit more than he does, or at least know how to correctly read and interpret the things that are in front of me.